You're about to embark on a thrilling journey where the rules of storytelling are flipped upside down. I'm excited to share with you a concept that will challenge the way you experience stories, and it all starts with a simple yet profound question. What if you could skip the final chapter of your favorite book? Imagine yourself curled up with a good novel, completely absorbed in the world of the characters, their struggles, and their triumphs. You're on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next. But then, you come across a page with a big, bold message. The end. And just like that, the story comes to a close. But what if I told you that you don't have to read that last page? That you can skip it and still enjoy the story? Sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. This concept is called never read the last page first. And it's not just about skipping the final chapter of a book. It's about changing the way you experience stories altogether. Think about it. When you read a book, you're usually invested in the story from the very beginning. You want to know what happens to the characters, where the plot is going, and how it all ends up. But what if you could skip the end and start from the beginning without knowing how it all turns out? Wouldn't that change the way you read the book? Wouldn't it make you appreciate the journey, rather than just the destination? This is exactly what never read the last page first is all about. It's about embracing the uncertainty of a story and enjoying the ride, rather than knowing exactly how it's going to end. It's about being present in the moment and letting the story unfold naturally, without any preconceptions. But it's not just about books. This concept can be applied to any form of storytelling, from movies to TV shows to video games. Think about it. When you watch a movie, you're usually expecting a certain outcome. You've seen the trailers, you've talked to friends about it, and you've got a pretty good idea of how it's going to end. But what if you could skip the ending and start from the beginning without knowing what happens? Wouldn't that make the experience more exciting? More unpredictable? And it's not just about the experience itself. Never read the last page first can also change the way you think about storytelling. When you know exactly how a story is going to end, you're not as invested in the journey. You're not as curious about the characters, their motivations, and their conflicts. You're not as engaged in the world building, the plot twists, and the surprises. But when you don't know how a story is going to end, you're more present, more engaged, and more invested. You're more likely to pay attention to the details, to pick up on subtle clues, and to piece together the mystery. You're more likely to care about the characters, to root for them, and to worry about their fate. So, let's take a closer look at how never read the last page first can change the way you experience stories. We'll explore the benefits of skipping the final chapter and how it can enhance your enjoyment of a story. We'll talk about the psychology behind it and how it can affect your brain. And we'll take a look at some examples of how this concept can be applied in different forms of storytelling. But before we get started, I want to ask you a question. Would you dare to skip the final chapter of your favorite book? Would you want to take the risk of ruining the magic? Or would you want to experience the thrill of discovery? Let me know in the comments below. As we dive deeper into this concept, you'll discover that never read the last page first is not just about skipping the final chapter. It's about changing the way you experience stories, and it's about embracing the uncertainty of a story. It's about being present in the moment and letting the story unfold naturally, without any preconceptions. And it's about enjoying the ride, rather than just the destination. So, let's get started on this journey and see where it takes us. Let's explore the world of never read the last page first and discover the magic that happens when you skip the final chapter. You're probably one of those people who can't help but scroll through social media before watching a movie or reading a book, just to get a sneak peek at what's coming next. But have you ever stopped to think about how that might be affecting your experience? Think about it. You're essentially skipping the final act, the grand finale, the moment that makes all the twists and turns worth it. That's what we're going to talk about today, the curse of spoilers. Those pesky little spoilers that ruin the surprise and excitement of discovering plot twists. They're everywhere. Social media, online forums, even casual conversations with friends. It's like the entire world is conspiring against you to spoil the fun. But what if I told you that there's a way to experience stories without knowing the ending? Would it make the journey more enjoyable? Would you be able to appreciate the little things, the subtle hints and clues that lead you to the final reveal? I think so. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're watching a thrilling horror movie, and you know exactly how it's going to end. You've seen the final scene on Twitter, or heard it from a friend who's already seen it. Suddenly, the tension and suspense that once had you on the edge of your seat start to dissipate. You're no longer invested in the story. You're just waiting for it to be over. That's what spoilers do. They take away the excitement and anticipation of discovery. They make the story feel predictable, even boring. And it's not just movies or books. It's any form of storytelling. Whether it's a TV show, a video game, or even a podcast, spoilers can ruin the experience. But it's not just about the story itself. It's about the way we experience it. When we know the ending, we're not just watching a movie or reading a book. We're watching a familiar scene play out. We're not invested in the characters or their journeys. We're just going through the motions. And that's where the magic of storytelling comes in. You see, storytelling is all about the journey, not the destination. It's about the characters we meet, the challenges they face, and the lessons they learn along the way. When we know the ending, we're missing out on all that. We're missing out on the emotional highs and lows, the moments of triumph and heartbreak. So, what can we do to avoid spoilers? It's not easy, I know, but here are a few tips. First, avoid social media and online forums until you've finished watching a movie or reading a book. Second, be mindful of your friends and family. Don't ask them for spoilers, and don't give them away if they ask you. And third, try to experience stories in a different way. Instead of watching a movie, try listening to an audiobook or reading a graphic novel. The point is, there's a way to experience stories without knowing the ending. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. When we approach stories with an open mind and a willingness to be surprised, we're giving ourselves the chance to experience the magic of storytelling. We're giving ourselves the chance to be invested in the characters and their journeys, to feel the emotions and the tension that comes with discovery. So, next time you're watching a movie or reading a book, try to avoid spoilers. Try to experience it without knowing the ending. You might be surprised at how much more enjoyable it is. And who knows, you might just discover a new way of experiencing stories that will change the way you think about them forever. As we continue on this journey, we'll be exploring more aspects of storytelling and how we experience it. We'll talk about the power of anticipation and suspense, the importance of character development, and the role of setting in creating an immersive experience. And throughout it all, we'll be looking at the concept of never reading the last page first. The idea that the journey is just as important as the destination. Stay tuned for the next section, where we'll be exploring the world of anticipation and suspense. But for now, I want to leave you with a question. What's the most memorable story you've ever experienced? Was it a movie, a book, or something else entirely? And what was it about that story that made it so memorable? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll continue the conversation in the next section. As we move forward, remember that the journey is just as important as the destination. Don't let spoilers ruin the excitement and anticipation of discovery. Experience stories in a way that allows you to be invested in the characters and their journeys. And most importantly, never read the last page first. The journey is just as important as the destination, and it's the little things that make all the difference. You're now standing at the threshold of a secret world, where the magic of discovery awaits. As you step into this realm, you begin to realize that the journey itself is the destination. The thrill of not knowing what's around the corner, the suspense of uncovering hidden truths, and the excitement of piecing together the puzzle, all these elements combine to create a truly immersive experience. Let's imagine that you're reading a novel, and you've just started the first chapter. You're intrigued by the characters, the setting, and the plot. But what if you knew exactly how the story would unfold from here on out? Would you still be invested in the characters' journeys? Or would you feel like you're just going through the motions? The truth is, when we know the ending, we often lose sight of the beauty of discovery. Think about it like this. When we're on a treasure hunt, the thrill isn't in finding the treasure itself, but in the process of searching for it. We love the challenge of deciphering clues, overcoming obstacles, and piecing together the puzzle. It's the journey that makes the treasure worthwhile. And that's exactly what happens when we experience a story without knowing the outcome. You're now the detective, solving the mystery, and uncovering the secrets of the story. Each new discovery sparks a sense of curiosity, and you find yourself asking more questions. What's the next twist? What's the surprise waiting for me just around the corner? This is the magic of discovery at work. It's a dynamic, ever-changing process that keeps us engaged and invested. Imagine being able to relive your favorite childhood memories without knowing the ending. Would you still love the story? Or would you feel like you're just going through the motions? When we experience a story without knowing the outcome, we're able to connect with the characters on a deeper level. We're invested in their journeys, we care about their struggles, and we root for their triumphs. The journey becomes the destination, and the thrill of discovery is what makes the story truly magical. You might be wondering what this has to do with real life. Well, the magic of discovery is all around us. When we learn something new, we experience a sense of wonder and excitement. It's like uncovering a hidden treasure, and it sparks our imagination. We start to see the world in a new light, and we're inspired to explore and discover more. But what if you're one of those people who likes to know the ending before you start something new? Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's perfectly natural to want to know what's coming next. But the question is, are you willing to miss out on the magic of discovery? Are you willing to sacrifice the thrill of the journey for the sake of knowing the outcome? As you continue on this journey, you'll begin to realize that the magic of discovery is not just limited to stories. It's a mindset, a way of approaching life itself. When we approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and wonder, we're more likely to find creative solutions and make new discoveries. We're more likely to see the world in a new light, and we're more likely to experience the thrill of the journey. So, what does this mean for you? It means that you have the power to choose how you experience the world. You can choose to see the magic of discovery in every story, in every challenge, and in every new experience. You can choose to approach life with a sense of wonder and curiosity, and you can choose to make the journey the destination. As you move forward on this journey, you'll begin to realize that the magic of discovery is not just a concept, but a way of life. It's a way of experiencing the world that's full of wonder, excitement, and discovery. And it's a way of approaching challenges that's full of creativity, curiosity, and joy. So, are you ready to unlock the magic of discovery and experience the world in a whole new way? You're now entering a world where the art of storytelling reigns supreme. As you step into this realm, you begin to realize that the art of storytelling is not just about conveying information, but also about evoking emotions and creating connections with the people who experience it. Think back to your favorite stories, be they movies, books, or even childhood tales told by your parents. What made them so memorable? Was it the thrill of adventure, the mystery of the unknown, or the emotional resonance that lingered long after the story ended? The truth is, storytelling has been an integral part of human culture for thousands of years. It's an ancient art form that has been passed down through generations, with each storyteller adding their own unique twist and flair. From the epic poems of ancient Greece to the modern-day blockbuster movies, storytelling has been a powerful tool for captivating audiences and conveying complex ideas. But what makes a story truly memorable? Is it the plot twists, the character development, or the way the story makes you feel? The answer lies in the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into creating a compelling narrative. It's the carefully crafted sentences, the deliberate pacing, and the attention to detail that transport you to a different world. And it's precisely this artistry that gets lost when you spoil the ending or read the last page first. Imagine being on a roller coaster ride, but you already know the exact moment when it's going to drop. The thrill is gone, the suspense is lost, and the experience becomes flat and unfulfilling. That's exactly what happens when you spoil a story or read the last page first. You're taking away the magic of discovery, the suspense of the unknown, and the emotional resonance that comes from experiencing the story for the first time. But what about those who say, I just want to know what happens in the end? Don't they deserve to know the outcome? The answer is yes, they do deserve to know. However, they can still experience the story in its entirety, without knowing the exact ending, by reading it or watching it in a way that preserves the magic of discovery. For example, they could read the book or watch the movie in a spoiler-free environment, where they're not exposed to any information that might give away the ending. That way, they can experience the story as it was meant to be experienced, with all its twists and turns, its surprises and revelations. By never reading the last page first, we can appreciate the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into creating a compelling narrative. We can appreciate the way the story builds tension, the way the characters develop, and the way the plot unfolds. We can experience the emotional resonance that comes from investing in the story and its characters. And we can connect with the people who created the story, who poured their hearts and souls into crafting a compelling narrative that would captivate and inspire audiences. As you continue on this journey, you're about to discover the true power of storytelling. You're about to experience the magic of discovery, the suspense of the unknown, and the emotional resonance that comes from experiencing a story for the first time. And you're going to learn how to appreciate the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into creating a compelling narrative. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to enter a world where the art of storytelling reigns supreme. You've made it this far, and now you're ready to unlock the next level of understanding. You've discovered the magic of the journey itself, the art of storytelling, and how it can transport you to new worlds. But have you ever wondered what makes this experience so powerful? What is it about the way we experience stories that makes them stick with us long after we finish reading the last page? As it turns out, our brains are wired to remember events in a very specific way. We tend to recall the beginning, middle, and end of a story, but what if we could rewire our memory to experience the story in a whole new way? What if we could uncover the secrets that lie within the story itself, without the influence of knowing the ending? Research has shown that our memories are malleable, and they can be influenced by external factors. Think about it. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who changed your perspective on a particular topic? Or maybe you've read a book that challenged your assumptions about the world. That's because your brain is wired to respond to new information, and it can be changed by the people and experiences around you. But what does this have to do with never reading the last page first? Well, it turns out that the key to unlocking this new way of experiencing stories lies in understanding how our brains process information. When we read a story, our brains create a mental map of the narrative, including the characters, plot twists, and resolutions. But what if we could slow down this process and take in the story at our own pace? Imagine being able to experience the thrill of discovery without the pressure of knowing the outcome. Imagine being able to feel the suspense of a cliffhanger without the relief of knowing what's coming next. That's what it means to never read the last page first. It's an experience that allows you to connect with the story on a deeper level and to uncover the secrets that lie within. But don't just take my word for it. Think about the last time you read a book or watched a movie that left you feeling satisfied but also curious. What was it about that story that stuck with you? Was it the characters, the plot, or something else entirely? Maybe it was the way the story made you feel, the emotions it evoked, the connections it created. That's what happens when we experience stories in a new way. We're able to tap into our own emotions and memories, and to create a deeper connection with the story itself. So, the next time you pick up a book or start watching a movie, I want you to try something new. I want you to never read the last page first. See what happens when you slow down the process and take in the story at your own pace. You might just discover a whole new world of possibilities and a deeper connection to the stories that matter most to you. As you continue on your journey, remember that the science of memory is all about uncovering the secrets of the human brain. And what's more fascinating than the power of storytelling to change the way we think and feel? Stay tuned for the next section, where we'll explore the psychology behind why we love stories so much. But for now, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned so far and how it's changed the way you think about the stories that matter most to you. You're now entering the realm where creativity knows no bounds. Imagine having the freedom to create your own story without the constraints of a predetermined ending. Think about it. You're the author, the protagonist, and the narrator all rolled into one. The possibilities are endless, and the journey becomes a blank canvas waiting to be filled with your imagination. As you embark on this journey, you begin to realize that the freedom to create is not just a luxury, but a necessity. By never reading the last page first, you can become the master of your own destiny. You get to decide how the story unfolds, what twists and turns to take, and what surprises to reveal. The unknown becomes your playground, where you can experiment and innovate without fear of failure. Remember that iconic novel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Douglas Adams, the author, once said that he didn't know what would happen next in the story as he was writing it. He was as curious as his readers, and that's what made the book so engaging. The freedom to create without a predetermined ending is what allows us to tap into our imagination and create something truly original. But the freedom to create is not just about writing a novel or making a movie. It's about living life on our own terms. It's about taking risks, making mistakes, and learning from them. It's about embracing the unknown and finding creative solutions to problems. By never reading the last page first, we can become more adaptable, more resilient, and more confident in our ability to shape our own reality. So, the next time you pick up a book, start a new project, or take on a challenge, remember to never read the last page first. Let the journey be the destination, and let your imagination be your guide. The possibilities are endless, and the freedom to create is waiting for you. What will you create first?